Welcome everyone to the monthly virtual gathering of the Canadian Ecopsychology Network. Hello, my name is Carol Koziel and I'm the founder of CEN. Today we're going to hear from Elizabeth about the Climate Psychology Alliance North America. Elizabeth Allured, did I say that right, Elizabeth?
Close, Allured.
Allured, thank you for the correction, is an adjunct faculty member at the Derner Institute of Psychoanalysis and Psychotherapy at Adelphi University, teaching in the adult clinical postgraduate program and the school psychology postgraduate program. Elizabeth is the co-president of Climate Psychology Alliance North America, where she has taught about the intersection of the climate crisis, psychotherapy, and psychoanalysis. She has taught Ecopsychoanalysis at Manhattan Institute and has been presenting papers on this topic internationally and locally for 13 years. Welcome, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for sharing your time and wisdom with us today, and the airwaves are yours.
Thank you so much, Carol, for the introduction. And thank you all for attending on a spring afternoon of a special day that we're all celebrating together. I'm going to share my screen. Should pull this up. Okay. The title of my talk today is Holding the Earth in Mind Together, Climate Psychology Alliance North America. I believe that we all need organizations to help us hold the earth in mind at this particular point in time. And Climate Psychology Alliance was founded by some very wise individuals in the UK who understood the importance of psychology in facing the climate crisis. And I'm sure because you're members of climate psychology organizations, CEN being one of them, you're all familiar with this idea. But we wanted a chapter in North America to reflect some of the early work that had already been going on about this. Let's see if I can advance my slides. I don't seem to be able to advance my slides here.
Can you just try using your cursor right and left?
Yeah, I'm using all the cursors and none of them are working. Maybe I should escape and go back to the beginning. Let me try this. It won't even go on escape. Let me try stopping share and get into this again. Try this one. See if I can do it this way. Thank you for your patience. So I wanted to first acknowledge the Quinnipiac peoples who have lived in this area long before Caucasians came in the 1630s. Unfortunately, in 1638, the Quinnipiac peoples were interned in what would become the very first, what it was called as an Indian reservation in what would be called the United States territories. So where I sit is 10 miles from the very first reservation ever set up to intern Native peoples. My thanks for them and their lands. So you may have heard of Abraham Maslow and his belief in our need to affiliate as sitting right up above our basic physiological and safety needs. Belonging is something that we all need. We all need to feel that we're a part of something larger than ourselves, especially human systems that are larger than ourselves. And if we don't have these needs met, we can't move on to what is seen as further tasks of self-actualizing and our needs for self-esteem. So I think our group is no different, that we are all trying to belong and meet our affiliative needs through our belonging. So I believe clinicians have needs to develop our professional identity in certain unique ways. And those of us who feel an affection and love for the earth want that to be held in our professional identity. And so I see CPA North America as a home for clinicians who are growing into this aspect of our professional identity, of being able to hold the earth in mind as we're practicing with our clients and as we're growing new knowledge bases. It took many years to develop the practice and science and art of psychotherapy. And I think it's going to take some time for most of us to grow into this new way of being and practicing. And this is precisely why we need others to affiliate with, to toss over ideas, to brainstorm, to write with, to process what's going on in our environment, because two heads are better than one, and six heads are better than two. So I enjoy putting my head together with people in our organization as we're growing new knowledge bases and developing as professionals. So my affiliation with CPA North America really began a long time ago when I myself was searching for an ecotherapist. And this occurred probably in 2005, when I was very aware that the earth was in distress, and I wanted to understand and talk about the impact of this on me and vice versa. So I approached my own therapist at the time, asking if I could, talk about this with him. And he looked at me and he said, "I think that's a matter for governments to take up." So that really shut down that conversation right there. And I gave up processing this in a therapeutic way until, although I kept writing about my thoughts about this, and I started to present papers about it. But I decided in about 2015 to reach out to these individuals in the UK who had started CPA UK. And they, Sally Weintraub was one of them, who had edited a book. And so I wrote to her and attached one of my writings that I had presented. And I said, I really would like if there's somebody who would do Zoom therapy with me from the UK, because I can't seem to find anybody here to talk about all this with. And she said to me, well, we'll look around and see what we can do. But there was no one that was really doing that kind of work, although now we're all doing Zoom work. So I didn't find my therapist, but instead I was asked about a year later to try to form this chapter of CPA North America, because they knew of my work from, when I contacted them. So so that was extremely exciting to me. And I said, of course, I'll try to do this. This is really where my heart is. And there were 8 other people who had been asked to try to put this together along with me. And one of those individuals happened to live in Toronto. And he's here with us today, and that's Anthony Wilson, who has been a great mentor for me. Anthony sought me out at a conference, and it was clear, 6 or 7 years ago, that we really had a lot to learn from each other. So we began Zoom dyads with each other to share, reading books, discussing books, processing a lot of the climate news that was going on, and really trying to hold on and contain rather than dissociate or avoid this kind of disturbing news that we're all in the middle of even more of right now. But Anthony was really my first connection to all of this as a role model of being able to sit with this information and let it percolate into one's life and one's professional life. So that's where this early connection came from. So how did we start this whole organization? We just got together and we saw who wanted to do what, and some people were interested in moving ahead. Others were very busy, academics. So we winnowed down to about 6 of us who really wanted to put together this organization and help other clinicians who didn't have a therapist like myself and who might want to find a therapist who was holding the earth in mind and who didn't think this was out of the realm of therapy sessions. So one of our 6 was not a clinician and was not an academic. And I think it was very wise of those founders in the UK to include him in our founding circle. And this member was into the media, and he put out a daily newsletter called The Climate Vote. And let's see, I think I have his, I thought I had his slide here. Okay. He puts out this daily newsletter telling us exactly what's going on in different parts of the world. He has synopses of both encouraging news and discouraging news. And I see Richard, Pauly is his name, as kind of keeping our feet on the ground. It's very easy when you're starting an organization, getting involved in exciting things like, writing papers and, projects. But Richard really keeps us grounded. Every day in my inbox, I get this email about what's really happening. And some days I don't have the courage to read it because it's difficult, but I try to read it as often as I can. So we hammered together sort of a mission statement. Anthony was very helpful in this, and I'll just read it to you. We promote vital shifts in our relationship with our ecosystem. Broadly, these are the shifts from dominance to partnership, from avoidance to connection, and from invulnerability to the acceptance of our physical and psychological dependence upon the earth and its ecosystems. We strive to help mental health clinicians as we face these shifts within ourselves and within the populations we serve in developing more balanced, sustainable lives and communities. I wanted this to reflect the fact that we are going to be continually facing these shifts within ourselves. This isn't just something we're teaching other people and they're learning it from us. We're all involved in a shift, and we're all struggling in some ways with facing this shift. And the ultimate goal should be more sustainable lives and communities. So how does this play out in the specifics of our work? We see our work as to educate clinicians, and we provide workshops in climate psychology, in facilitating climate cafes, which I'll explain in a minute, and viewing the climate emergency through various lenses. I think it's useful to look at this through a trauma perspective in terms of the earth is undergoing trauma the same as we undergo trauma, and we struggle to not see that. We struggle to be witnesses to it and share what we're experiencing, and we struggle to move forward despite the trauma. We look at it through sociological perspective. How much of this is because we only are looking for information that confirms what we already know, that contributes to denial. There's also the social stigma aspects of this. We don't want to be giving up things if other people aren't giving them up. We don't want to stand out. A lot of us look at this through a psychoanalytic perspective, a model of unconscious conflict, and different self states holding different aspects of our awareness. Part of us is aware, part of us isn't aware. And we also view this through cognitive and emotional impacts. What is the research showing about warming weather? And for instance, there's research that shows that warmer temperature, during periods of warmer temperature, there are an increased number of visits to psychiatric emergency rooms. People are experiencing more psychological distress, and they're seeking out help the warmer it gets. And there are many ways to develop each of these A, B, C, and D, but this is just a little sketch. More of our work is we're currently developing a climate-aware therapist directory and a map, so that if this were 2005 and I had this, I could just click on this map and it would open, and I put in my zip code, and it would show me, well, there's actually a climate-aware therapist that lives 10 miles away from you, and her name is this and so, and here's her contact phone number. So I'm really excited about this resource because I think that there are going to be more people who are going to want to discuss this with someone who's trained to sort through feelings and distress, and who understands how complex our own reactions are to this. Family can help, of course, friends can help, but I do think clinicians have a unique role to play in processing all of this, which probably all of you understand who are here today. So how does one get on this map? Well, right now, the map, in order to get a place on the map, you need to attest to a basic statement saying that this is a real crisis that the Earth is undergoing, that there are emotional impacts of this crisis, and that it's really an important factor in our lives right now. I think in the future we'll have, listings of different kinds of training people have been through, but right now, for the beginning, we just wanted a basic map available for people who wanted help finding a resource of this type. Oh, here's my slide of the climate vote. I had it in a different place in my mind, but this is an example of Richard Pauly's daily email. Just one little thing about, one of his many postings of the day, in case you want to know about that. So this is if you pull up our website, this is what you'll see. Sometimes we change our tagline. Right now it's Minding Dynamic Ecosystems, because we're into reflecting and holding things in mind, much as you might think of mentalization, the concept of holding another person in mind. We think it's crucial to hold the Earth systems in mind. So members of CPANA are also allowed to join the CPA UK group at a very low fee. And that CPA UK group has a lovely listserv that is contributed to by people around the world. A number of you may already have joined CPA UK and know about this, but I find it a great source of comfort to know that so many people who are thinking psychologically and very deeply are sharing their thoughts about this and helping me process this in new ways and giving me a different perspective about, how to see these unfolding crises. And it's also very encouraging to hear about all the work that's being done in these other countries, and to feel a sense of camaraderie is one of the best things about this. So I tried to put a few diagrams in here to show how we're beginning to see clinical work and the community and the climate crisis. We see that there's areas of overlap between the CEE, which is the climate and ecological emergency, our clinical work, and the community. Now, within CPA North America, we have some of us who are focused primarily on that overlap between clinical work and the CEE. Now, there are others of us who are more focused on the circle of community and the CEE. There's couple of clinicians in Westchester, New York, who are very involved in bringing climate discussion groups, or climate cafes, as one type of them is called, to parent groups. There's one for parents of young children. They're bringing this to schools. And I think this is really important and crucial work. Again, it's not work that I feel really called to do, but I'm glad other people are doing it. And I'm presuming that as time goes on, we'll find other, overlapping circles in here that will be working together in our model. This is, I think, a really important way to think about our model of mind. At the base, or embedded in the center, is that we all have an intrapsychic mind that's functioning with unconscious conflict, that functions with layers out of awareness, that's layers that are attached to specific self states and organizations of individuals in interpersonal relationships. And those interpersonal relationships affect how much we can be aware of intrapsychically and interpersonally. And of course, all interpersonal relations are grounded in larger cultural systems, which create interpersonal ways of interacting and interacting with the world at large, the larger world and groupings. So what's holding all of this together, of course, are our ecosystems and the exchange between the ecosystem and all the other three systems. I didn't know how to get this graphic with dotted lines in these circles. I was really hoping to find one that had these dotted lines, so you have a sense of movement back and forth with all four of the groupings. So just that's what I was going for. So in CPA&A, we try to support each other's work in several different areas. One is just containing the feelings around this crisis and staying awake. There are 2 people right now in the organization that I meet with regularly, and we spend part of our weekly time processing and sharing our reactions to climate news. And this is very important, because if I didn't have these dyads, it would be very difficult to do this. And I would encourage you all to find dyads if you haven't found them already. So we also support each other's work by helping us enlarge our understanding of psychology and principles of working with the difficult issue of climate crisis. And we support each other's work by encouraging each other to be change agents in whatever way we're choosing to do it, whatever projects we've taken on, whatever artistic venue somebody's expressing themselves in. Our media person is writing for us now. And so we try to support each other's efforts. We also have what are called special interest groups, or we call them SIGs, because some people want to look at this issue primarily through the lens of children and adolescents. Others are more into teaching and training mental health clinicians. There's a group of people who are putting together this Wikipedia type resource for people who want to give presentations about climate crisis and to incorporate what we know about the psychology of giving a presentation and the psychology of resistance to knowing about climate crisis into this resource so that people might be a little bit wiser before they give a presentation on this. So why are our projects important rather than we just being sort of study groups? I think that our projects are grounding us in this crisis, and they're channeling what I see as reparative desires, which I think we all have. Sally Weintraub in the UK has talked about the divided self and how we all have one aspect of self that wants to ground in reality, and it wants to face our difficulties and try to fix what we're responsible for harming. Well, there's another part that sees ourselves as special and doesn't need to follow the limits and engages in magical thinking and really doesn't feel like we need to repair problems we've caused or been a part of. So since we understand this, we try to lean more toward our reparative self and channel that into, working in the community or developing workshops and training programs for clinicians, whatever it is. And we feel strongly that each of us has a unique mission. And part of our role is to help each other find that mission. And then we can help our clients find their own mission in this sort of opportune time. Our media coordinator is really a wonderful writer, and she recently wrote this little piece on April 7th that got into the Washington Post, 6 Ways to Stay Balanced During the Climate Crisis. I think it's wonderful that we have people who can write for the popular press and can get us more known, plus, of course, get more knowledge about the climate crisis and how to live within it. Just a little bit about the concept of being witnessing professionals during the CEE. You may have read Robert Lifton's book, The Climate Swerve, but he's a big believer that as mental health clinicians, we almost have an ethical obligation to bear witness to trauma, to societal trauma, and to raise awareness about societal trauma. And if there was ever a societal trauma, this certainly qualifies. And so part of why we affiliate is to be able to do this and to encourage other professionals to learn how to contain and process their own feelings so they can be witnesses for others. I like this picture because I think of it either as, well, it can be like the top of a teepee of all the poles that are leaning and supporting each other in this interwoven way. It can also be kind of, I think of it also maybe as a base of a fire. When you start a fire, sometimes you lean all the sticks against each other in this way. But I'm really talking about moving in toward what some people are calling the symbiocene. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But it's a new era, hopefully focusing on our symbiotic interactions with other living beings. And we acknowledge that we have a great need to affiliate and interact with others who are trying to move toward the symbiocene and trying to hold on to the recognition that, as Carol was saying earlier, we're all in a web of life. We're all leaning on so many systems, and I call them relatives, who are the more than human, who are supporting us every day that we sometimes don't think about. So we're trying to all hold uncertainty together and staying open to surprise, the surprise that maybe there'll be a way out of this terrible dilemma to save more life than is being saved. And We're trying to stay out of hierarchies. We're trying to work largely by consensus, and we're weaving together new theories. That's why I got the background for this slide, is to think of it as a weaving process and weaving together our views instead of feeling like we might all need the same view. So in terms of hope, I wanted to end by saying some people don't feel in our group, don't feel there's much hope for turning this problem around and saving, civilized society from catastrophic impacts of the CEE, while others are leaning more toward hope, or some hope toward a lot of effective action. But we tolerate a wide range of feelings on this, and we even within ourselves at different moments, sometimes I feel more hopeful or less hopeful, and I think it's important to have that as a topic of discussion. And I think that's my end here, so I'm going to stop screen sharing. Before we go into our discussion period, I wanted to end with, in my presentation, with about a 2-minute meditation, and I'm really eager to hear your reactions to what I've presented here, but I'm first going to ground us a little bit in what I've been talking about. So I would encourage you to just close your eyes, and I'll do the same. Often at the end of a workshop or conference, some time is spent thanking the people who organize the conference, or the volunteers behind the scenes that we don't see, who've worked tirelessly to bring something about. I'm going to start by asking us to take a breath and feel ourselves sitting on the chair or wherever we're located, feeling our feet on the ground, noticing the air around us, within us. And let's give thanks for all our relatives who've worked hard to bring us the plants. Let's thank all of our four-legged relations who have provided us food at various times. Let's give gratitude toward all that is around us in the air that gives us oxygen to breathe. I'd like to thank the warmth of the sun that enables us to live within a narrow band of temperature here on this earth. I would like to thank the many generations of people who've taken care enough of the earth to allow us to live here now. And I'd like to thank the usually unseen insects that are in our food chain, that are food for the winged relatives, and the winged relatives that may be food for the four-legged relatives, and all through the chain of life that works unseen without our asking. And when you're ready, you can come back here and open your eyes. And Carol, if you'd like to open it to discussion, or however you want to do that, is fine with me.